7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
It's now time for the Pony Cake Sports Podcast with your hosts, Josh Stevens, Tim Thompson, and Tom Schultz. Woo!
My goodness gracious, do we have a special episode for you guys this week. We have not only the regulars of the show, but we have an OG, if you would. One Michael Agent joining us. 4 Pony Cake Sports OG members. Mike, we are glad to have you here.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. We have 4, normally, we haven't done 4 guys on a podcast in a long time.
I haven't done 4 guys in a while.
I said on a podcast. I said on a podcast. Josh, not only that, you let me take the helms here.
I did, yeah.
Do you regret this decision immediately?
Yes.
All right, fair enough. We're going to get right into it here.
What are we doing?
Hey, before we get into it, I got a brain buster that it's been bugging me all day.
Oh, here we go.
And
Mike's back.
And I need
STD
I need you guys to help me. It's a movie that Brad Pitt was in. It was like his catchphrase. I don't remember it, and it's been killing me all day. No, that's not Brad Pitt. It was from the movie
Nazis?
7. No, the number from 7. He had like a killer line in 7.
Not Lucky Number 7?
No, that was a different movie.
I give her a 10. No, this is Varsity
You guys
Blues.
don't remember.
No, I have no idea.
Well,
Never heard of that movie.
You've never heard of 7?
No. Yeah,
All right. Well,
it's a
you were
good
supposed
movie.
to say what's in the box, and I was going to say D's nuts, but none of you fell for it. So,
All right, well, Mike's back, everyone. Glad we have that. Yeah, great.
What are we doing?
Starting off hot, this is Pony Keg Sports. As always, make sure you follow us on Facebook, Pony Keg Sports. Follow Josh on Twitter at Pony Keg Sports. You follow Tom at Pony_Keg_Tim. And you,
Tom.
or Tom, your name's Tom. You can follow me at Fight Talk Tim. Mike, what's your
Michael R. Agent.
at Michael R. Agent. Josh, do we have sponsors anymore?
No.
No sponsors anymore. If you want to sponsor us, make sure to hit us up at paytheseidiotsmoney.com. We are going to recap Week 8, preview Week 9, and then later on this week we'll probably do a trades episode.
Yeah, we're going to talk about what is going on in the NFL, trades and everything like that.
Yeah, that'll be good. And then obviously do our usual quarterback, running back, wide receiver, all of that type of stuff. Let's go back to Week 8, Thursday Night Football. First game of the week, Houston Texans and the Miami Dolphins. Kind of a weak Thursday Night Football game, if you would. Deshaun Watson goes off, 5 tutties. I believe he had under 200 yards passing, but just went out there, did big things, and bring the Texans to 5-3 after starting off 0-3.
It was a big win for Deshaun Watson and the Houston Texans. Watson had 239 yards passing, Tim. The big takeaway for me, though, in this game is Will Fuller tearing his ACL. A big loss for this football team. We have seen the connection that him and Deshaun Watson had together. Pretty much been a touchdown machine between both of them. But they obviously made a big trade today, right before the trade deadline. But the Dolphins, Brock Osweiler, it was kind of cute while it lasted against the Bears. It was a pretty good game for them, but it's pretty bad right now in Miami. I would not want to be a Miami Dolphins fan.
No, it's rough. The nice thing, what a weird game. Watson only had 4 incompletions.
More touchdowns than incompletions.
Yeah,
Nuts.
which is really, really weird. Cool Thursday game, 42-23. Not much to really. I mean, both these teams I think are still in limbo. That's about it.
Devontae Parker sighting. It's kind of big too.
Yeah.
Yeah, he had like 20 fantasy points or right underneath that.
134 yards, 6 catches.
Big game for Devontae.
Very interesting. The DeAndre Hopkins bandwagon. He went out there and had a couple of touchdowns himself. That late touchdown.
That catch too.
That catch. That wasn't a catch because the guy ended up getting called back. There's a penalty there, but yeah, ridiculous. Dude's a freak. Let's move on to. There's only one thing in this world worse. I'm sorry, Josh. Did you want to talk about Dolphins?
No, I'm just staring
Texans?
into your eyes.
Just
That's
stare.
all.
All right. You still sound like an idiot on the mic. Just so
Sorry.
You know. Only worse thing than Thursday Night Football is London football. NFL came out this week, decided that there's going to be 4 games in London, 2 at the Tottenham Hotspurs. For you gentlemen who don't know who Tottenham is, Premier League football team, one of my arch rivals. So not happy about that. And then 2 at Wembley. But 4 more games next year. This year, Eagles, Jaguars in England. And the game was kind of weak. A couple of players got arrested afterwards for walking out on a tab. That was pretty cool. Before the game? Okay. But yeah, Eagles end up getting the win. And the Jaguars are just in a state of confusion at the moment. Not sure what's going on there.
Yeah, I think it was almost for the defensive backs for the Jaguars. That's kind of been their strong point the last couple of years. A.J. Bouye missed this game as well. And Carson Wentz and that Philadelphia Eagles offense was able to move the football with not a whole lot of resistance. I like football that early in the morning, but I feel like the playing surface is always pretty bad. It's like they're playing on a shitty Soldier Field game every time they're there. The field's not up to par in my eyes, and the games are just always a crapshoot. I'm glad the Eagles won, but it wasn't very pretty.
Yeah, as far as there's not really much to say for this game, as far as the two teams or anything like that. I love waking up and seeing my phone go, hey, it's 8:30 and there's a football game. Like, oh, that's cool. But then I realize it's an England game, and you never know what's going to happen because the players only had a week to get their time zones right, and NFL needs to stop this stupid stuff. I understand they're trying to expand and get more money, but it's dumb.
Yeah, there should be no games in London at all. Even the owner for the Jaguars, he was the one that was being talked about buying the stadium, moving the team there, and he pulled out of that deal. Now he's talking about doing a wrestling promotion with a bunch of other people, which is kind of crazy, but there should not be a single game in London. All the games are awful. The playing field, like Tom said, is awful. Now, I do like when games are played at 9:30 in the morning. Do a game at 9:30 in the morning here in the U.S. It's just, there should be no games in London.
See, I don't, because as a parent, I like the game starting here in the Central Time Zone around noon, so at least that way when I'm drunk and yelling at my kids, it's in the afternoon. It's not that early in the morning. I digress. Eagles win. Big win for them. Jaguars, not good. Broncos and the Chiefs, a much closer game than some may have anticipated. Kareem Hunt, once again, jumped over a guy. That was pretty cool. Sammy Watkins gives one of his big performances of the year. I guess the bigger story here is the Broncos. Case Keenum throws 262 and 2 tutties. Phillip Lindsay, and Cameron Sutton, kind of showing that they might be the future of the Denver Broncos. I know Royce Freeman was drafted. He's been hurt. Phillip Lindsay has been filling in fantastically for them. But the big story, Patrick Mahomes, 303 yards, 4 touchdowns. He is on pace for over 5,000 yards passing, over 50 touchdowns this year. Holy cow.
For me, he's a clear-cut MVP. That offense is playing on a whole nother level. Them and the Rams, obviously. Mahomes, though, he's kind of looked like he's not human the first 7-8 weeks of the season. This week, he had a very bad interception that he threw. He hasn't thrown many this year, so it does show that he's still pretty new to this. It's his first full season of starting, but all the weapons they have there, they just get so wide open. The scheming of Andy Reid is just showing you that he could pretty much make anyone a fantasy viable quarterback. Look what he did to Alex Smith last year. Not taking anything away from Patrick Mahomes, but
yeah, he's playing lights out with something that nobody's ready to see. It'd be interesting to see what he does next year if he's able to keep this kind of momentum going. I think he'll be able to do it the rest of the year, no problem. For me, it'd be his second year actually starting in the NFL. But 7 straight wins for the Chiefs against the Broncos. They keep it going, 30-23. Chiefs are a powerhouse in this league, and it'll be interesting to watch them come playoff time.
Nothing from Josh. It'll be interesting to see how Kermit the Frog does here come crunch time. Browns and Steelers. Steelers end up going out there and doing what they should at home against a division rival, 33-18. Nick Chubb, 65 yards rushing. He's been kind of average, I would say, here so far as a running back. Jarvis Landry, nothing to write home about. But James Conner, 146 yards rushing, 2 touchdowns. Antonio Brown, 74 yards receiving, 2 touchdowns. Steelers are playing like they have no desire to see Antonio Brown back anytime soon.
Le'Veon Bell.
Thank you.
Juju Smith-Schuster came out earlier in the week and said he wished he won the Powerball, or I'm sorry, the Mega Millions, so he could pay Le'Veon Bell to come back and play. Well, you know what? They have James Conner, and he's not Le'Veon Bell, but he's doing his best Le'Veon Bell impression, and he is running the ball, catching the ball out of the backfield, looking very good. 3 games in a row, over 100 yards rushing, touchdowns, I believe, rushing in each and every, or 2 of those games. He's looking like the real deal. James Conner is looking pretty good, and you know what? If I was a Pittsburgh Steelers fan, or if I was a higher up on Pittsburgh, I'd be sitting there thinking, why am I going to pay somebody X amount of millions of dollars when I have James Conner on a rookie deal, second year of his rookie deal, making peanuts right now, and what are you going to do? Run him into the ground just like you did with Le'Veon Bell. You know what? Move on from Le'Veon Bell. You're not going to be able to trade him anymore because it's past the trade deadline. And you may lose him at the end of the year, but you're going to get a compensatory pick, and it's probably going to be, what was it, a 3rd-round pick for
Probably
him?
a 3rd round.
So it is what it is. I would move on personally. And on the other side of the ball for the Browns, fired their coach, fired their offensive coordinator. I don't know what's going to happen with Baker Mayfield and everything else on that team, but it's a shit show over there.
Best part of this is that Hugh Jackson was on his way to go fire
Todd
Haley when
Reported.
he got pulled in to get fired himself.
It's a rumor.
Fantastic. Browns, they're a lot better football team than they put on the field this Sunday. I think with a real coaching staff, guys that understand this new generation of players and understand where the NFL is going in terms of offense and all those schematics, they're going to be a team to reckon with the next couple of years.
Yeah, I really like the Browns. I was hoping more out of them. I don't know why they didn't fire Hugh Jackson at the beginning of the year.
Thank you.
I don't know why they hired Todd Haley. He got fired from the Pittsburgh Steelers, and they had a winning record. The whole Browns organization doesn't really make sense to me besides what they've been doing in their draft and acquiring players. Hopefully they can put it together on paper. Baker Mayfield has got some real talent, and I'm excited to see what he can do with a real coaching staff. If he was with Sean McVay, I don't even know what. I mean, he wouldn't be doing Andy Reid style stuff, but he'd still be having a lot more success and stop going into overtime so much as they have been this year.
Yeah, in our group chat, Tom had mentioned hopefully a Mike DiFilippo gets a look from the Browns here going in. I think that'd be a great fit. That's who I was hoping the Bears would end up with. I just think it's more of, I just don't get the Browns. I don't understand what they're doing. You bring in Haley, and then Hugh Jackson has his best season ever in 3 years, and now you fire him. I don't understand.
Yeah, one thing I saw that why they didn't fire him, Hugh Jackson, before the season was a clip going around on Twitter of the Hard Knocks episode where Todd Haley sat down with Hugh Jackson and said, hey, our players are going nuts. We need to get them under control and start putting some discipline. And then Hugh Jackson stops Todd Haley mid-sentence and goes, hey, well, if you discipline them too much, then they don't come to practice, and then you lose the locker room. Well, you dumb. No, that's not how you do it. You want to play on my team? You do what I say. You guys you're professionals now, and this is what's expected of you, and you're going to do it. If you don't, we're going to trade you. And
thank you very much, Mr. Coughlin. My favorite line from the firing of these gentlemen was that Hard Knocks has lost more main characters than Game of Thrones. That's been my favorite line from everything that's gone down. Next game, the Washington Redskins, who are now 5-2, beat the New York Football Giants, who are now 1-7. Eli Manning, his 316 yards and a tutty mean nothing because Adrian Peterson goes for $149 and a touchdown. Alex Smith, even though he only had 178 yards passing and a touchdown, finds a way. Washington Redskins, guys, they might be for real.
I really don't know if they're for real, Tim. Right now, they're beating the teams they really should, and that's really what they have to do. They're able to stop the run. They limited Saquon Barkley in this football game. They've invested a ton of early draft capital into that defensive line, and it is paying dividends right now. The linebackers are just free all day to run, roam, and pretty much hunt all game. If you like old school football, you probably like to watch the Washington Redskins. But for people that are more inclined to the modern NFL, probably stay away from this football team. They're not going to do anything in the playoffs. There's no way this team can compete. Look what happened against the Saints. They got blown out of the water. You put them against the Rams, the Vikings, the same thing will probably happen.
Yeah, it's a great start for the Redskins. 5-2, the best start they've had since 2008. But they went against a horrible Giants team that is really probably already in full rebuild mode. I don't know what they're doing with their quarterback over in New York. But like Tom was echoing, they can't score enough points. It's great you can do this during the regular season, that you can stop the run and all that stuff. But when you face a playoff team in the playoffs, they're going to get knocked out probably wild card weekend.
Josh, anything to add?
Giants are trash.
Yeah.
Fair enough. I will add for the Giants, you mentioned the quarterback situation. Their backup quarterback, Tulula, is that how you say his name? Huh? Tuleta. Ends up, so from my understanding is he pulled up to where construction work was going on, where he was not allowed to turn right, and he went past the crossing guard who was directing him to go straight. Basically told that crossing guard, who was a cop, F you, went around him and potentially came close to hitting him, then avoided a couple other cops, got run down by a cop car, avoided him for a while, then finally got pulled over, refused to roll down his window, anything like that. So that's all bad. But the worst part, which I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with, was apparently on Monday, the same exact thing happened, except he drove away completely. They didn't catch him, and they had his license plate, so he was getting a ticket in the mail, regardless. So not once, but twice this week did he just say, hey, F you to the world, I'm driving a Jaguar, I'm going to do whatever I want. So I truly hope he gets his license suspended forever and he never is allowed to play football again, because I hate traffic dickheads. Moving on, the Seattle Seahawks and the Detroit Lions in Detroit. Seattle shows out Russell Wilson, 248 yards, 3 touchdowns. Chris Carson's a $105 and a tutty. My goodness, the Lions are just as bad as we thought they were. They are 3-4 now, the basement of the NFC North, and the Seattle Seahawks might have a shot at a wild card spot.
Yeah, I don't know what to think of the Seattle Seahawks. They started off atrocious, so bad at the beginning of the year. They're turning it on now in the mid to late part of the year, where it kind of really counts, where you got to get those wins and actually see where you're at, if you're going to be a basement dweller, or if you're going to be a team that can, like you said, make their way to a wild card or a playoff team. So the Lions, they are probably, out of the NFC North, I would probably say the most mistrust team out of the NFC North.
You can say the worst team.
Well,
you don't want to because the Bears play there.
Well,
I get it.
It's funny because I heard on the ESPN 1000 today, driving around,
Chicago's own.
Maybe this was yesterday, and they were talking about how Mike Greenberg was talking, and he said that it would probably go as the Lions as the worst trusted team, and then it would probably be the Packers because they have Aaron Rodgers, and they don't know what they have else after, because if Aaron Rodgers went down, what kind of team do you have? You don't know. And then it would be the Vikings because you have a very good set of wide receivers. You have a decent defense. And then he put the Bears at the top of the list, which I thought was kind of shocking. But the Lions, again, back to my point, are probably the worst team out of that division, and this game kind of shows it.
Yeah, it's 4 straight games for the Seahawks at 150-plus rushing yards, thanks to Russell Wilson and Chris Carson and company. They are really weird that they got Penny in the first their first overall pick of the draft, and he didn't even touch the ball this game. So it's kind of weird to see.
Only on the field, 2 plays?
Yeah, it was really weird to see what they're going to do with him.
Nerd.
Lions, I have no idea what they're doing. They traded to acquire people, then they traded away a whole bunch of people. Seahawks, like you alluded to, Josh, they're finally getting it together. This is a really a new football team, and I think we all thought they were going to be bad the entire year, but it's nice to see they're able to pull it together with what they have.
I like the Seahawks. It just sucks because I hate their coach. Feel like he's a big-time moron. So it'll be interesting. I just don't see the Seahawks going far, even if they make the playoffs, because they are a home-heavy success type of team. Let's move on here to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers versus the Cincinnati Bengals. And listen, 37-34. This game was not as close. I know it got close late, but it's not as close as the score dictates. Famous Jameis finger licking good. Atrocious. 5 interceptions. I don't know if he's going to be on the team anymore. That's how bad he is.
When you said finger looking
I'm sorry,
good,
4 interceptions.
when you said finger looking good, was that butter sauce?
It could be.
Because he steals lobsters.
Yeah, that was why the finger looking good.
Well, first off, this game was not close in the first 3 quarters. And then we saw in the fourth quarter Fitzpatrick come in and made it a close game.
Who?
Mr. Fitzmagic came in and made it a close game. At one point in time, they tied the game up with under a minute to go. And they ended up, the Cincinnati Bengals ended up kicking a field goal to win the game. It has been said that Jameis Winston is going to be benched for the next game, but you know what? I think this team on all cylinders, regardless of the bad play, I believe it was week number 4 and week number 5 of Ryan Fitzpatrick, I think this team is better off with Ryan Fitzpatrick for the rest of the year.
It's a crappy situation for the Bucs to be a Bucs fan. Look, you had the first overall pick, Jameis Winston, and I think it's obvious that he's not a franchise quarterback. So you pretty much have to move on from him. But if you do that, you're pretty much completely restarting the whole process. They probably won't have a top 5 pick in the draft, so they probably won't get an elite quarterback. So it's probably going to be a rough couple of years for this football team, this franchise. The Bengals, man, they should have just blew the Bucs out of the water. You know, they rely on Joe Mixon so much in the first half. They get a lead, and then they go away from him. Don't get it. The Bucs were doing a better job stopping the run, but you can't just give up on the run, especially when you have a running back like him in the second half. That's how you lose games.
Tom, I could not agree more. Listen, my main takeaways from this is, number one, I truly hope my team is never where the Buccaneers are right now, in a spot where it's contract year. What?
I just laugh.
Why? I want my team.
I know.
My team to be where the Buccaneers are right now. I don't.
I'm in agreement.
It's a terrible spot to be in. And Jameis Winston has been terrible. And beyond that, you have a backup quarterback that's good. So you're not going to be bad enough to get a draft pick that you want, and you're not going to be good enough to be where you think you can be. Buccaneers got away big time because Vita Vea, initially they were worried he was going to have an MCL tear. He did not. So that's a big safe point for them. But at the end of this year, and maybe before that, Dirk Cutter is gone. Jameis Winston is going to end up being gone. This is a team that's going to be in a complete rebuild very, very soon. They have some assets on the defensive side of the football, and they have a couple of assets on the offensive side of the football. But
I would have agreed with you on a complete rebuild if they would have traded away Deshaun Jackson today. If they would have traded him away, I would have said, I 100% agree with you, because they're going to go ahead with Chris Godwin and see what he's got as a number 2 wide receiver. But you know what? They didn't trade him because they think Ryan Fitzmagic is going to be able to take him take this team to a level that Jameis Winston can.
Josh, they can think that as much as they want. My 3-5 football team right now, I think can go to the championship. But you know what? I don't have enough talent to get there. So neither do the Buccaneers. It's not going to happen. To Tom's point that I want to get on, this is the typical Cincinnati Bengals BS. Why everyone hates, even the Cincinnati Bengals fans, hate their team, because this is the take the foot off the gas. Joe Mixon was out there putting on a show, dominating the football field. This game wasn't close. I still stand by what I said. I don't care if it was tied in the fourth quarter and it took a last-second field goal to win the game. This game was not close if the Cincinnati Bengals had half of a brain to just run the football with their studs and do what they should have done. This is an embarrassment for the Cincinnati Bengals, and this is why they will not win their division once again.
It's absolutely true. The Bengals were playing to lose. They didn't do Joe Mixon had 24 touches, 138 scrimmage yards, and 2 touchdowns. And they could have controlled the clock and had this game over with long before Fitzmagic was just airing it out and people were running past their defenders. from the prior Buccaneers talk, if I'm the GM of the Buccaneers, I look at the first round and go, we can get a quarterback. Doesn't matter. We don't have to be the first overall pick. The first overall pick is never a home run quarterback. Patrick Mahomes wasn't. We can get a running back in the second round. Look at all the second round running backs that have been taken. Le'Veon Bell was a second round running back. We can get it. We have the offensive tools in hand, except for those two guys. If we spend our first 2 picks and get it, we don't need to do a full rebuild. Our defense isn't like the most terrible thing in the world. It's not the greatest, but we can actually put a competitive field next year. And for me, I let James Winston go out there and fucking tank the season.
Hey, to be fair, I would almost agree with that.
But
So
you also don't want to lose your job, so you're going to put Fitzmagic out there and try to do what you got to do. But they're not far away. They've got pieces. They just need to be able to put it all together.
In that division, I totally disagree with you. The Panthers and the Saints are miles ahead of where the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are right now. It doesn't matter what he does. Dirk Cutter's getting fired at the end of this year. He was in the hot seat to begin with, and it may not be his fault, but what he's done has not been enough. Let's move on to probably one of the most boring games of the week, if I'm being honest. The Chicago Bears and the New York Jets. Not a lot there. Bears end up winning 24-10. It was close throughout the first half, but when you look at the actual numbers and the stats of it, the Bears had simply dominated like they should. Sam Darnold, 153 yards and a tutty, good for him. Trubisky, 220 and 2 tutties, good for him. But the Bears dominated the running game, and that was the difference. They win by 2 touchdowns. I don't have much to say here. I wasn't impressed, not impressed, angry, or anything with anything. It was just, this was a vegetable lasagna NFL midseason game.
Yeah, I really don't have much to say. The only thing I want to ask you guys is if Tariq Cohen was hurt and out a game, do you feel comfortable if you're the Bears offense? And vice versa, if Tariq Cohen is healthy and Jordan Howard is injured, do you feel comfortable?
No, those two need to be there. Tariq Cohen didn't have much. He had 6 touches for 110 yards. So, I mean...
But his catch.
But his one catch got him 7 points. So, you want both of those guys to be there. I'd feel more comfortable with Jordan Howard in and Cohen out, but those two together make a really, really dynamic team. Cohen by himself would be a little scary. But to me, this game isn't about, or this matchup isn't about this matchup. It's about next week, right? The Bears have one more really easy game against the Bills, and after that, they have a really tough schedule, and that is going to be the test of this team if they can continue on the success that they had. Jets suck. They've got problems beyond. Then we can. What's the edge of the universe? We don't even know, right? You know what I'm trying to say here? Like, we don't know what the Jets are. We have no clue.
Jets have a halfway decent defense. And the best part about this game, as a Bears fan, is this is a Jets team that put it on a division rival in the Detroit Lions in Detroit. So you're feeling fairly confident there. The Bears already wasted their giveaway game, right? Everyone has a giveaway game. They wasted that on the Dolphins. Should have won it, gave it away. Couldn't do it here, and they didn't. So that's why, as a Bear, I'm not happy about this, 24-10. I don't care. Great, we won. I don't care.
If you have Bears as in fantasy for your defense, make sure you start them because Nathan Peterman for the Bills was named the starter. That's an easy 5 interceptions.
We will see what happens moving forward. Next game here, we have the Baltimore Ravens coming off of their tough loss against the New Orleans Saints against another NFC South opponent, the Carolina Panthers, this time in Carolina. And Carolina now kind of picking up, kind of showing that, you know what, the Saints aren't going to run away with this division. Cam Newton's a stud. Christian McCaffrey is still very, very good. And we got enough here. Rookie wide receiver DJ Moore, 90 yards receiving. More importantly, this defense. This team has an opportunity to compete with the New Orleans Saints here for the NFC South title.
For me, this game, the Ravens, look, they got statistically the number 1 defense in the NFL. And right now, in modern-day NFL, defense means absolutely nothing. This defense was shredded by a pretty good offensive team. Cam Newton, he's just so different than any other quarterback in the NFL right now, what he brings. Rushing the football, 10 carries in this game, 52 yards, was the leading rusher in this football game. And look what happens when you give a young, talented wide receiver some looks, some targets. He makes some freaking plays. He was our number 1 wide receiver in this class, and glad he's finally getting a chance to shine. Quit trying to rely on freaking Torrey Smith, Devin Funchess. Like, what the hell? are these teams doing? It just makes no sense. None.
Really nice to see Cam back to form after his Super Bowl year. He started chucking it high again, which is very unfortunate. You don't want to see a player regress like that, but he's got his throwing arm down a little bit, which is not making the ball sail. He's got two touchdown passes in the last 6 straight games. 36 points. They got a great running back, good offensive line. This team has the ability to go somewhere.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how they play out. Also, I just want to mention, because I've given Cam Newton shit a lot of times, but Cam Newton was seen just after the game, just bringing pizzas to homeless people on the streets of Charlotte randomly. He didn't even know it. Just a random fan caught it and put it on Snapchat or one of those stupid social media things. And with as much shit as I give Cam Newton, I do think it's important to make sure we credit where credit is due. He didn't know that was happening. Props to him, Cam Newton. Keep doing what you're doing, player. Oakland or Las Vegas Raiders soon to be against the Indianapolis Colts. This was a very close game. Outside of a Doug Martin fumble, could have been even closer. Colts ended up winning 42-28. Marlon Mack, monster game.
Yeah, Colts' first 3 quarters of this football game, their defense couldn't stop anything. Darius Leonard had another game-changing play. He caused that fumble against Doug Martin. Legit, like, threw a sledgehammer at the ball and knocked it out.
It was a tomahawk, is what it was.
And he came out and said, he's like, I knew I was going to get ran over the way he was looking at me. We made eye contact, and I just knew I could knock the ball. I'm like, he's like, I was willing to get my ass laid out in that play.
Dude, that's a hand clap right there.
This game, it's really just about the Colts offensive line completely
clicking,
dominating the last 3 weeks. I think they've scored over 35 points 3 of the last 4 games. This team, it's starting to look like I thought it would. Probably a little bit better than I thought it would, in all honesty, after their pretty horrendous start. But they're heading in the right direction.
Yeah, loved it. Indianapolis has 200-plus rushing yards in 2 straight games. It's the first time that's happened since 1985. So it's super impressive for them that they got things moving. That offensive line, like Tom, you said, we're even in our preseason previews. Once these guys get going, man, they're a really scary bunch, which is a hard thing to say about an offensive line. Obviously, the Raiders are in a little bit of a limbo. We don't know what they're doing with John Gruden and company, but to put 42 points on the board is something special. So if you're an Indianapolis fan, you're really happy. Even at 3-5, you're really happy how the season's going.
And the Colts, they're still starting 2 rookies on that line, right?
Yep, starting left guard Quentin Nelson, and then Braden Smith starting at the right tackle.
Who we both liked.
Also, fantasy guy Eric Ebron, I think only had 18% of the snaps in this game. Jack Doyle's first game back was in for 85%.
Wow.
Yep. So he's kind of the main guy there and was the difference maker on the final
Jack Doyle touchdown as well.
Tom, go ahead and bookmark this to your Indianapolis Colts fandom, if you would. About minute mark 33, if you would. Indianapolis Colts fans, I get it. It was a close win against a terrible Raiders team. With that said, shut up. Stop bitching. You have a franchise quarterback who has an opportunity to be one of the best quarterbacks that you have ever had. I get that you had Peyton Manning. You still remember that. That's fine. Andrew Luck is still a stud. You have come so quickly in a turnaround and a rebuild. You have an offensive line that's going to potentially be a top 10 going into next year. You have a running back in Marlon Mack that's going to be one of the best running backs in the league here very, very, very soon. You still have a one Eugene Hilton. Don't call me Ty Hilton. You have one Darius Leonard, who you want to say, whoa, we reached on him, who can potentially be one of the best defensive players in the AFC for a long time to come. A win's a win. You're not where you want to be right now, but stop bitching. The Colts are set up fantastically going into next year. And I'm not even a Colts fan. So Colts fans who want to bitch about their team, shut up. Oakland Raiders, John Gruden is deciding, hey, I am just tearing the house down. I hate you. I hate everyone. I'm going to do whatever I want. It is what it is. Colts win. San Francisco 49ers versus Arizona Cardinals. Next to the Jets Bears, this was the worst game of the week.
It wasn't pretty, but I liked what I saw, the difference in the play calling for the Arizona Cardinals. Josh Rosen is going to be a very good quarterback.
Yeah.
That offensive line is horrendous. I liked that David Johnson 4 catches. It's okay. I want to see him getting 6 to 7 targets.
10.
Yeah, it'd be nice. That's how good teams use their stud playmakers. But I'm happy with the change that Byron Leftwich made for this team right now.
After this game, you got a 1-7 team and you have a 2-6 team. So there's not much to be said about either of these teams right now. But what are we going to look forward to the future? The 49ers, unfortunately, lost their star quarterback for the year. Cardinals have got a rising star. Other than that, not much to be said. Hopefully, I wish these guys the best of luck, but they're going to compete with the Raiders for the first overall pick.
I'm going to switch it around here a little bit and go towards fantasy. Listen, the 49ers are bad. They've had too many injuries for it to mean really anything. But Arizona Cardinals owners, especially if you're in any sort of keepers league, you need to look at a David Johnson and see what they're doing with a young Josh Rosen, with a new offensive mind at the helm. If Byron Leftwich is able to stay there, David Johnson's slowly getting back into his old ways. I know it's a slow process. I know it's not where we wanted him to be coming off of that big injury, but it's definitely something to look for going forward. Move on here to the biggest game of the week, by far, Packers-Rams. It was a fantastic game. I don't know what else to say besides that. It was so much fun to watch. I enjoyed every minute of it. The Rams ended up winning 29-27 because of a terrible, just absent-minded decision by one Ty Montgomery at the end. But overall, this was everything you could have wanted as a football fan and more. Josh, I'm going to start with you because you're not the Packers fan.
I honestly didn't see the finish of the game, so if somebody could recap it for me.
Yeah.
You're just digging into Mike?
I think that's exactly what it was. I'll go more in depth because we're gonna have a trade deadline episode here, and I'll go more in depth because the Packers have made some serious moves today. But basically, there's 2:05 left on the clock. Rams get a field goal, take it up 29-27. Aaron Rodgers with 2:05. I think he had one or no timeouts at the time, and Ty Montgomery was told by the coaches to take a knee if he could. He ran it out, fumbled, Rams take over, run out the clock. That's the end of the game. Listen, I was really happy with the Packers, what they did against the Rams. The Rams, what were they, like a 9-point in the spread?
9.5, yep.
So, by all rights, they should have ran this team over. What a crazy... if you have a chance to rewatch the game, listen to the crowd. There were so many Packers fans here. I even texted you guys in the group chat about the Go Pack Go chants at the Rams Stadium. Really happy with what the team did. They finally gave Aaron Jones a majority of the runs, and he proved that he's probably going to be the lead running back. Defense held well against a Rams team. Jair Alexander looks absolutely fantastic. And I'm happy with where the Packers are going. Unfortunately, we didn't get that last drive to try to win the game with a field goal or a touchdown. And some adjustments need to still be made. But it was if you're just an NFL fan, if you get an opportunity to watch this game, it is just a really, really good game to even watch.
For me, this is the Packers fans. I think Tim's going to hate this comment, but this is the loss I'm okay with.
Right. No moral victories.
I hate the way it ended with that fumble because I really think the Packers would have won. And this might be a little crazy, but I think McVay kind of wanted to lose this football game. I think if he had balls, he would have went for a touchdown and put the Packers out of this football game instead of giving them the chance to go for a field goal with over 2 minutes left against Aaron Rodgers. Like he's trying to test his team right there.
They already did a fake punt earlier in the game. Yeah.
So just feel okay with it. It sucks. You would have loved to beat the undefeated Rams, but it's football, man. It happens.
My opinion. And this isn't as a Bears fan. My opinion of this is I take this, the Rams played this game very similar to how Andy Reid and the Chiefs played the game against the Patriots. They knew who they were going up against. I get where you're coming from and saying this could be a quote-unquote moral victory for the Packers. But if anything, I think this is a moral victory for the Rams. The Rams did not give their best in this game. The Rams did not take any chances. The Rams played conservative.
They took chances.
The Rams sat back and said, "Hey, let's make them beat us. They can beat us. We have nothing to lose here. We have worst case scenario. We will be 7-1, and we will be okay. We have nothing to lose. Make them beat us." And the Packers, to your point, the Packers fans travel well. They've always traveled well. The Rams have no fans in LA. That's a fact. They have you saw the USC emblem at the 50-yard line throughout this game. That just proves even more how bad of a situation they have. It's an embarrassment for the NFL and for Los Angeles for them to have an undefeated team and to have that kind of response for an away team from the Midwest. And it's an embarrassment. The Packers played their best possible defensive game against the Rams that week, and they still didn't do it. They still didn't get it done. I get it was a fumble. I get they had a chance. I just don't see the Packers going into Los Angeles in the NFC Championship game, because that's probably when it will be.
That's what would happen, yeah.
And I just don't see it happening. I feel like it's a bigger loss for the Packers than it is a win for the Rams.
Yeah, I can completely understand that.
Let's move on here to a game that was super underrated because the World Series Game 5 was going on at the same time. The Dodgers ended up giving it away to who the hell won in the World? The Boston Red Sox won the World Series. Who cares about baseball? Saints Vikings rematch of the NFC Championship game of 2018. Saints end up getting a win, 30-20 over the Minnesota Vikings. Even though Adam Thielen kept his streak alive, 8 games now in a row of 100 yards receiving or more. He had a huge fumble there though, and Kirk Cousins, monster interception that was returned for a touchdown.
Yeah, the big turning point in this football game was that Adam Thielen fumble. He was trying to fight for extra yards. It happens pretty much one of his only mistakes this whole season. It sucks it had to come against a football team like the New Orleans Saints. They are one of the hottest football teams in the NFL right now. The one thing that was kind of striking for me was the usage of the running backs in this game. I really thought this was going to be more of a Mark Ingram game, especially with the score. Kind of try to pound it out more, but Kamara had more overall snaps and touches than Ingram in this game. The Saints, they're the real deal in my eyes.
Yeah, Ingram, I think he had 16 carries total, but you got to remember a lot of that came late in the game.
Yeah.
But yeah, to your point, Tom, I really have thought that it was going to be Mark Ingram shouldering the load. And then with Alvin Kamara sprinkled in there with the carries, but really focusing on receiving the ball at the backfield. I've been wrong on that. We were correct. I believe the first 2 weeks he was back, but so far have not hit the nail on the head on that since then. But with the Vikings and Adam Thielen, I mean, that receiving core right there with Stephon Diggs and Adam Thielen, it's phenomenal. But you know what? They need a lot more help out of the running game, and the defense needs to do its job as well.
This offense would be at a different level with a healthy Dalvin Cook.
I agree.
Latavius Murray he's been solid the last few weeks, especially the last 3 weeks, 20 fantasy points.
Serviceable.
Yes.
Yeah.
But he's nowhere near the talent level that Dalvin Cook is. You know who's annoying? I'm glad I don't own any Saints players. Taysom Hill. He's fun to watch, but man, he'd be pissing me off.
I wanted to kill him because I got Alvin Kamara and I needed him to get I needed him to get a last minute touchdown, and who did they give it to? Hill. And I was like, you gotta be kidding me. But someone I want to talk about real quick is the real MVP of this league, Adam Thielen. Sorry, 8 straight games, 100 yards, NFL record. When Patrick Mahomes starts breaking NFL records, we can talk about him being the MVP. But for me right now, fuck quarterbacks. Give it to a wide receiver for once. This guy is a monster. Watch it be 9 games next week.
Would it be safe to say that may be the top 2 guys for MVP?
No,
should not be a wide receiver.
No, Thielen's
crazy to think
fantasy
about.
MVP, 100%. I agree.
What if he goes out of 16 games? Say if he goes 12 games, all 100 yards or more, and he puts up 10 plus touchdowns.
I don't care if he has 2,000 yards receiving.
Really?
No.
Well,
the only way that happens is if the Vikings go undefeated.
Thielen,
That's not happening.
Thielen, I mean, it's great. Thielen in 8 games has put up more yards in those 8 games than Stephon Diggs has in his whole in any season in his whole career. That's all great and well. Let's call it like it is. He was a big factor in the Vikings losing this game. One of the main factors. I'm not going to put it on one person, but he is one of the deciding factors of why the Vikings lost this football game. I think the big thing in terms of fantasy we need to talk about is Drew Brees. Listen, you mentioned Taysom Hill. You mentioned those 2 running backs. The Saints won. They're 6-1. Drew Brees only had 120 yards passing and 1 touchdown.
And an interception.
This reminds me a lot. Not saying he's going to, and he is better than the injured version of this player I'm going to mention, but it reminds me a lot of Peyton Manning, his final season with the Broncos. I know he's better. I know he's putting up better numbers, but the team can survive without him putting up big numbers.
I dislike that a lot, Tim. I think he reminds me of Drew Brees from last year.
Yep.
He makes plays when he has to, but they're relying on that running game.
If you watched Manning's last season, he threw ducks constantly. Could barely throw past 20 yards. Drew Brees still has the zip. He's still got the passion, the love, and he's not like
120 passing yards.
He's not hobbling. That's what they needed. They still got 30 points. They still won the game. But
that's my point.
And the Saints have changed. They've learned the woes of their ways of, hey, we don't have to pass it 50 times a game when we're up by 10 points.
And for fantasy purposes, which
I
started this conversation with, that is my point. For fantasy purposes, you need to.
Last year.
He was. How many games did he have last year? 120 yards. I don't know
Probably
that.
None.
We need to look, but probably not.
But like
you know what? Since we're not looking stuff up, I'm gonna say all 16.
Final game, Monday Night Football. This game was actually much closer than the score dictates. New England Patriots 25, the Bills 6. I believe the Patriots went the first 3 quarters without a touchdown. Tom Brady 324, no tutties. I don't know what else to say here.
What's the rookie 20-year-old linebacker on the Bills?
Tremaine Edmonds.
Edmonds. Stud.
Yep, he looked great.
Tom Brady threw a flat pass to James White.
Yep.
And Edmonds ran him down from about 50 yards out and really it was only like 12. And just closed the gap, killed him for a loss. We've got a star rising there. Patriots do the Patriots. Bills do the Bills. A really good rival game. Didn't really get away till the end of the game. The score kind of alludes that it was a bigger loss to the Bills than it actually was. But it's a Monday night game. It's a division game. Nothing really much here that I don't think anyone didn't see coming. But watch. Hey, if you're a Bills Mafia fan, dude, you buy yourself a Tremaine Edmonds jersey. That guy is going to be something special.
My favorite part about the game was the visual that they had. I believe at the beginning of the game, they had Tom Brady's stats against the Bills, and it was a fake video of the Tom Brady cartoon character jumping through a table of the Buffalo Bills.
No, really?
Yeah, they did. I'll show it to you after. It was good.
For as awful as the Bills' offense is, I'm still impressed with their defense and their special teams. So. Yep. At least they have something going for them. I feel bad that they have to start Peterman. They did themselves with a disservice of keeping him on their roster because now they have to start him. You got to look at it. They started Derek Anderson. Now he's got a concussion, and now you're like, oh, great. We are already going to lose the locker room if we started Peterman, and now we got to go back to Mr. Peterman. And needless to say, it's just...
not good.
It's not good.
Yeah, this is going to have a lot of fightings at the end of the year.
Josh, you hit the nail on the head with the Buffalo Bills defense.
Yeah.
It's a lot better than people are giving them credit. Look what they did to Aaron Rodgers. Look what they did to Kirk Cousins. Look what they did to Tom Brady now. This unit can play. They got a lot of talent there. They just need to get weapons on the offensive side of the football and see what Josh Allen can really do. And another thing, who would have thought Cordero Patterson had the most rushing attempts for the Patriots?
He looked good running the ball.
I was like, who the hell is that big motherfucker running? No! I was like, that is not Kenyon Barner.
Yeah.
I was like, 84.
I was like, Kenyon Barner is like a foot and a half shorter than whoever that guy is.
My favorite line from the game was Booger McFarland, who I despise.
Talking
about Kelvin Benjamin. He put out his stats like 6'3", 248. I believe his exact words were, he's a cheeseburger away from a tight end, which I love. The other stat from this game is Tom Brady now has more wins than any Buffalo Bills quarterback in Buffalo since like 2005.
That's good.
Pretty intense. Let's move on here to week number 9. Our pick'em going through. I believe. Let's see here. As a whole, We're all pretty close. Tom and I are tied, I believe, here. Yes, Tom and I. Oh no, I have 75 points. Tom has 74. Josh at a lowly 71 needs to play some catch up. So let's go on here to our pick'em. Mike, feel free to join in as well.
I'll pick last. Just let you guys do your thing.
Fair enough. Thursday night football, Raiders, 49ers. God, this is why Thursday night football, people did not want it to exist. A bunch of lowly teams.
I hope this is like 50 to 55.
1-6 against 1-7 in San Francisco.
49ers, Mr. Beat Hard, as Tim would say. He's going to be most likely out for this game. They are going to be starting Mullins, correct?
Yep.
Oh, that's correct.
Kellen Mullins.
Basically, they just threw a dart at the board and said, here we go, we're throwing this guy in. I'm going to go with the Raiders. The Raiders are not a good team, but they are going to be able to beat the 49ers, I think, on a short week for Mr. Mullins.
Comes down to me, Doug Martin and Derek Carr find a way to get the game won against the 49ers and their create-a-player quarterback.
Yeah, one big issue that Thursday night road teams normally face is traveling on such a short week. They're just right across the bay. This is really not a away game for the Raiders. There'll probably be more Raiders fans at the stadium because 49ers fans are kind of fair weather. Raiders fans are kind of ride or die. I'm going with the Raiders in this one.
Raiders.
Sunday, first noon game. Washington Redskins against the Atlanta Falcons. Atlanta 3-4, Washington 5-2 in Washington. I'll start that way Tom doesn't make me fair weather here. I'm gonna go with the Washington Redskins. That defense, the addition of Clinton Dix, their running game. I know the Falcons have been better, but I don't think Matt Ryan's going to be able to go into Washington and get it done. Alex Smith is going to be able to be conservative enough. Another close game, 17-14.
Yeah, I don't see the Falcons being able to stop AP. That offensive line for the Redskins playing well, and their defensive line as well. The Redskins are winning football games in the trenches, and I think they do that again against the Falcons.
I have the Redskins as well, even though I should probably go with Atlanta, but I already had it locked in. So Redskins are going to grind out this game. I'm actually going to say that we're going to have a Jordan Reed sighting. Touchdown out of Jordan Reed.
All right.
Yeah, Redskins' defense is very underrated. They'll be able to hold their own, and Redskins win.
Man, Bears, Bills. If Josh Allen, Derek Anderson, anyone was starting besides Nathan Peterman, I would try to pull for the Bills here. But this is a game Bears have to go in. I still say they need to sit Khalil Mack and Allen Robinson, for that matter, again with Nathan Peterman starting. I know there's no gimmies in the NFL, but Nathan Peterman is hot trash garbage. The Bears win, and they win big.
Bears.
If there's a gimme, this is a gimme. Bears.
Next game, the Chiefs and the Browns. It'll be a fun one, but I don't know. Tom?
I think the Browns are going to come and play football this Sunday. They're at home. There's a lot of reports going around, but it really seems like especially Baker Mayfield and that offense, they were sick of Hugh Jackson. They're sick of Todd Haley. They're getting more of a player's coach on the offensive side of the ball. Kitchens is his last name. I think the Browns will keep it close. I think they will cover the spread, but I'm going with the Chiefs to win the football game.
I have this being a shootout, actually. I think the Chiefs are going to put up a ton of points, but I feel like the interim offensive coordinator is going to say, Baker, this is your show, pal. What do you want to do? Big games from Jarvis Landry, big games for Antonio Callaway, just big game all around. So give me the Chiefs, but high-scoring game. Take the over.
Good.
I think the Browns team is very, very hungry because they know that they've got the players to produce. Chiefs still win it, but look for the Browns to actually make it a real game.
Going for the upset, boys. I'm going with the Browns.
This is the upset you picked. Like, take the Falcons.
No. Going with the Browns.
All right.
Next game, Jets-Dolphins division rivalry in Miami. Let's go with who do you have here, Jets-Dolphins?
I'm going to go with the home Dolphins.
Dolphins.
I'm going with the Dolphins as well. I don't really have much else to say. I hate both of these teams. Is the Brosweiler still starting?
Yeah.
Then yeah, I'm going with Dolphins.
Jets just struggle on the road. They've done that all year.
They
that first game against
they have, but
Lions.
I've found success every once in a while betting an upset. This is my upset of the week. The Jets find a way to go into Miami against a division rival. I still like the Jets defense, and I like Miami's defense. Low scoring, but a 21-17 game for the New York Football Jets.
Brocktober is going to bring it into November, and he's going to dominate.
Detroit Lions against the Minnesota Vikings in Minnesota. Who do you guys got?
I'm torn on the Lions. Look, they traded for Snacks Harrison last week, and then they trade Golden Tate this week. That loss last week to the Seahawks kind of hurt them. And we saw the Seahawks being able to run against that Lions team and just being able to control that clock. I think the Vikings attempt to do the same thing. Plus, Lions are not going to be able to stop Stephon Diggs and Adam Thielen. Vikings win big.
I don't think it's a big win, division rival like this. I feel like the defenses will show up, but I agree with you. I just think it's more of Kirk Cousins will not allow this game to get away from him. Give me the Minnesota Vikings.
Yeah, it's a division game, so it'll be closer than most people think, but you got to go with the home team here and the better team on paper, the Minnesota Vikings.
Minnesota Vikings, Adam Thielen, game number 9 in a row.
Ooh, that's correct.
Ravens Steelers 4-4 versus 4-2-1 in Baltimore. Big time game, especially with what's going on in that division. What's going on?
Ravens absolutely need to win this football game. They're at home. I don't think they get the job done. I think the Steelers find a way to get the W. Their defense has been playing better. They're able to get after the quarterback, and I think they're able to do that. They rely on James Conner heavily.
Yeah, it's going to come down to the Steelers are up by 2, and the Ravens are going to have one last drive, and Ty Montgomery is going to field the kickoff and fumble it again. Steelers win by 2.
I'm going to go with the Baltimore Ravens. Like Tom said, they need to win this game. They're 4-4 right now. I think they're going to do enough to beat the Steelers. Plus, the Steelers are on the road. And although it has not really gone that way for Ben Roethlisberger this year, but in previous years, when the Steelers are on the road, they are a different team.
Josh, you read my mind. Hate to steal your thunder here, but I'm going to ride with you. Give me the Baltimore Ravens against the Pittsburgh Steelers. I love Pittsburgh, but I think James Conner will be neutralized, and this will be a, hey, bring us Le'Veon Bell back type of game for the Pittsburgh Steelers fans. So I will take the Baltimore Ravens. Panthers, Bucks, Fitzmagic. Can he keep it going, get them back to 500 against Cam Newton, who's hot, and the Carolina Panthers?
These teams are headed in drastically different paths right now. Just saw Jameis Winston get benched. Cam Newton is playing some of the best football of his career. Got to go with the home team. The Carolina Panthers are currently 4-0 at home. They make that 5-0, getting that W against Fitzmagic.
Buccaneers are terrible, in my opinion. I do not like them at all. Friggin' Cam Newton dominates this game. Panthers win.
Panthers win.
Fitzmagic is back, and it's going to be a shootout. It's going to be 45-41. Buccaneers win.
Ugh. Trying to make up ground this week.
Yes,
guys.
he is.
I
Broncos.
got to make up games.
Broncos Texans up next. The big ordeal here is Demaryius Thomas, who we'll talk about that trade a little bit more. Traded to the Texans, his first game against his former team. The Broncos are going to put on a whole show for him, spectacle. Big thank you very much, sir. Type of ordeal. I know a lot of the Broncos players are not happy about the trade of one Demaryius Thomas. Von Miller.
Crying in his car.
A couple of guys out there not happy about it, and know he's still got a whole big old photo down the side of the building. I think that the Houston Texans still dominate and win a 34-24 ball game.
I think it's going to be a close game, personally. It is tough to go into Mile High and play. Just the elevation level makes a difference. The noise. It's one of the hardest places to play on the road. But I got to give the edge to Deshaun Watson. He's the better quarterback. That team has been playing very well, 5 wins in a row. I think they make it 6 this week.
This will be my first real upset of the week. I'm going to go with the Broncos.
I like the pick, Mike. I'm not bold enough to make that pick. I'm going to go with the Houston Texans.
Chargers, Seahawks up next. This is probably one of my games of the week. Obviously, both West Coast teams, but two teams who have been firing on all cylinders as of late. Chargers 5-2, Seahawks 4-3. Chargers normally trying to make up ground at this point, but they're 5-2 right now. They're looking pretty good. It should be an interesting game. Talk about tough places to play. Seattle never easy to play in, that 12th man. But I still have Phillip Rivers taking himself and his 84 children into Seattle and winning this football game.
Russell Wilson has been playing lights out. They've been limiting how many passing attempts he has. He had a perfect passer rating last week against the Lions. They've been able to run the football, and that's how they've been able to win football games. I don't think they win this football game. I think Derwin James does enough on the defensive side of the football and shows why he's probably the rookie defensive player of the year right now.
If the Chargers were at home, I'd pick the Chargers, but the Seahawks are at home, so I'm going to take the Seahawks.
I'm going to go with the Chargers coming off their bye week. Hopefully they put it all together. They need to get Keenan Allen the ball, and hopefully Melvin Gordon is back. If Melvin Gordon's not playing, my pick would change, but it's locked in right now. So Chargers, I'm expecting Melvin Gordon to play.
I agree. The other game of the week, 6-1 versus 8-0. Rams travel to New Orleans. Tough place to play. Saints are definitely fired up, giving the Rams a little bit of bulletin board material. Rams, again, we'll talk about it a little more later, get Dante Fowler at the trade deadline, but a big game here. Rams Saints in New Orleans. I am taking the New Orleans Saints to win a big shootout, big scoring game, 43-40. The Rams lose their first game of the season to Drew Brees and the New Orleans Saints.
I agree 100%. I'm going with the Saints, but I think it's going to be it'll be like 31-28. I think the Saints are really going to try to impose their will. I could see Mark Ingram and Alvin Kamara both getting 20-plus touches in this football game, and the Saints finding a way to win.
Yeah, I see the Saints trying to use their ground and pound the way they have before. Look for Drew Brees to have another low-scoring fantasy game. But I have the Rams coming in and winning. I just see them being as the bigger, better team. And even though the Saints are going to want to put up a ground and pound, the Rams will be able to stop it and keep it low scoring until the end of the game. Probably me is around everybody scoring between 20 and 25 points.
Well, I have a real in-depth breakdown on this game. No, I'm going to go with the Rams. I think that they are going to win this game, and I think it's going to be a close game, but I'm going to go with the Rams.
Packers, Patriots, you know it's a big game when Michael Jordan himself is doing promos the week prior. I love the promo. I love this game. Listen, 2 Hall of Fame quarterbacks. I love everything about this. But it's in Foxborough. As much as I do love Aaron Rodgers, I don't think that they have enough right now on their team. No matter how good Aaron Jones plays, I think the Patriots still find a way. Whoever gets the ball last potentially could be the game-deciding factor.
That's it.
I got the Patriots winning this game, but my favorite part about that promo that Michael Jordan did is that LeBron James was on Twitter and was like, all right, oh, wait, never mind. You're talking about football.
Give the edge to the Patriots at Foxborough. They're just a different breed right there. I think Rodgers will be able to keep it close. But the better number 12 will not win this game.
Thank you, Tom. It's a tough stretch for the Packers right now. They've got to go all the way from the West Coast to the East Coast in 1 week span, and then in 2 weeks they're going to have to go all the way back out to the West Coast. This is the toughest part of the Packers schedule. They need to win 2 out of 4 of these games, and this is going to be one of them.
Final game of the week, Monday Night Football. Tennessee Titans at Dallas. Dallas, first game for newly acquired one, Amari Cooper. I think Dallas shows out. Amari Cooper has a big day, and Dallas gets the victory to get to 500.
Who cares? That's on the show.
Dallas will win this football game. Their defense has been a lot better than people think, and Marcus Mariota has been struggling. They have not been able to run the football. They're not doing anything exotic or anything along the lines of being a new retro offense. They're going to struggle in this football game.
I got Dallas winning this game. I think that these teams are actually pretty similar. I think even the offensive play between the two teams are similar as well. But I mean the Tennessee Titans are like a plain vanilla wafer cookie. They're not good. I don't like vanilla wafer cookies. I don't like them.
Yeah, the Titans are the epitome of 1960s NFL football. It's just like old school bad football. The Cowboys win it. It's not going to be a pretty game. This isn't something that you want to watch on Monday. I wish they could have a flex to get out of this because it's just a bad game. But Cowboys win.
That's all for this week, gentlemen. It was a good week. It was a very fun week, recapping some interesting games, especially the end of the schedule this week. The afternoon games into Sunday Night Football. Big time games. Again, make sure you follow us on Facebook at Pony Keg Sports. Follow us on Twitter. You can follow Josh at Pony Keg Sports. Follow Tom at Pony_Keg_Tom. Follow Mike at
Michael R. Agent.
And you can follow me at Fight Talk Tim. That's all we have for now.
Wait, I got one more.
Okay.
So it's the Halloween season coming up.
Yep.
And I was looking at some old childhood photos, and there was one where I was a Ghostbuster.
Uh-huh.
And man, I was super happy about being a Ghostbuster.
Okay.
Would you like to know why?
Why?
Because busting makes me feel good.
Mike's back, ladies and gentlemen, for at least 1 week. He's back. Make sure to follow us the rest of the week. We got trade talks. We got our, obviously, fantasy football predictions for quarterback, running back, wide receiver, tight end, etc. Until next time,